Chris.
Richard.
What's coming up in this week's episode?
We've got some newsy news.
Ross.
What? That's the bit I do, and Ross is over there. Who knows?
We'll be hearing from our Podsterons. Stay tuned.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson, Richard James and Chris Dale.
It's part 352 of the Gerry Anderson Podcast, and look who's back.
Look who's finally decided to show his
Here he
face.
comes.
Miami,
Yeah,
Madrid,
yeah.
a farm, a car park.
Budapest.
Budapest, didn't know about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see.
Yeah, no, that
Now
one of the
South.
news things was from Budapest.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for welcoming me back without
Yeah.
any sense of being patronising or ungrateful at all.
We just miss Ross.
Yes.
Well, don't we all?
He's only over there.
He's over there.
And I have to say, if you've looked at our Facebook group recently and online, lots of happy birthday wishes for our one and only Jamie Anderson.
Which was very kind. Thank you, everybody. Lovely.
Also, lots of people mentioning that I apparently look like Captain Black on the Facebook group.
I can see that.
I mean, I'd take it.
Yeah.
If it's happening, I'm in. Now, coming up in this week's episode, we've got the first part of my interview with wonderful Lindsay Harris.
Yes. Lovely Lindsay.
Animatronics and puppetry operator from Space Precinct. He operated my eyes.
Yes.
A lot of the time. I wonder if he'll be doing that during the interview. Be useful, then I can have a rest. It's just reminded me of a story about Sidney Hayers, one of the directors. I'll tell that later.
can't
We've
wait.
also got the Randomiser, Chris. Tell me all about the Randomiser.
Well, the Randomiser is a machine that has every Gerry Anderson episode and feature film in
Yes,
it. And we
yes.
press this big red button.
Oh, yeah.
And it produces a random episode
Yeah.
or film. And we watch it and give comments.
Yeah.
And it's quite popular. And
Right.
People
Okay.
seem to.
He's running out of steam now, isn't he? Have you
Well,
noticed
I mean,
that?
350 weeks, what more do you want?
Wow.
It's quite nice to do, though, isn't it?
It is nice to do, yeah. Unless it's something bad, in which case it's not.
No, that's right. Well, we'll see. We don't know because it's random.
It's random, completely random.
As you know, Jamie, we premiere this podcast every Sunday evening at 7 o'clock on YouTube, and we tend to get people commenting beneath it. Would you
Yes.
like to read out some comments from Pod 348, I think? This is where we had an interview with Bob Ayres, and we watched an episode of UFO.
We did, yes.
Which I sadly missed.
You did.
Ian Dealey
Yeah.
says Bob Ayres did a fantastic job on the Stingray Project Orca book.
Yeah.
A great read for any Anderson fan. PWOR.
Yeah, true. Carry on.
That's nice.
Next, come
Oh,
on, make
next
work
one.
for your living. Now you're back.
Oh, no, I'm back. Okay.
Yeah.
Inimitables 2
Yes.
says, funny what Chris says about Exposed being a good opening episode. I've often thought the much discussed oft-cancelled reboot
Right.
would start with a version of it. Except my version will be set as a continuation of the original series rather than a straight remake, with the added twist that instead of Foster, we'd have Ed Straker Jr., however that might work.
You see, that's a really good point, isn't it? So, UFO Exposed, which was the episode we watched over 2 weeks, was about someone almost stumbling across Shadow
Yep.
and discovering it, as it were, for the first time, as we might, as viewers, if you were to have it as a pilot episode. Now, that would be a great way to have a brand new series, wouldn't it? Start it now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It wouldn't be a reboot, because you could almost infer that this thing has been
been
going
going on
on
for
since.
decades, yeah.
Exactly. You obviously have all new personnel, but it wouldn't be like a whole new thing. It
No.
would be absolutely tied to the old series.
Straight into the action.
I often thought that it would be quite fun to do that and have the person who discovers Shadow actually be someone who used to work for Shadow, but they left and had the brain erasing surgeries stuff. So now they're like, I don't know
Yes.
why I think that would be a good
Nice.
idea, but it'd be a little twist.
Write it, Chris. Write it. Yeah.
It's finished. It's already done.
Oh, right. And another one, I think, Jamie.
Oh, Mark Simpson Wedge
Yeah.
says, glad to hear that Master Replicas are going to do the second wave of action figures. Will it include or not include the original offer that Big Chief were going to do, where you get all 6 and you get a free Colonel White figure? Well, I can answer that immediately. Yes,
Right.
it does include a free Colonel White figure, but only if you get the box set. And I think there's only 300 box sets.
Oh, right, okay.
And they're selling out like
Box sets.
Super Marination hotcakes.
Oh,
So they are now in stock.
No, they're not in stock. No, it's
They're
pre-order.
available for pre-order.
Pre-order.
Including the 6 figures individually
the
as
6
well.
plus
But the
white.
box is the only way to get lovely Colonel White.
Correct.
great. While you're here, Jamie, do you want to give us some Gerry Anderson
Oh,
news?
God, you really put me to work this week, can't you? Thank you. Yes, let's have some Gerry Anderson news.
It's the Gerry Anderson news.
Do you know what? I said that each week
I know.
for my little recording,
I
and I sort of, it made me feel better.
Yes. My favourite one, though, was the
use
from the farm.
Yes. Could you hear the you having a wee behind me?
I'll have a listen back again now you've mentioned it.
Podsterons, do email us, podcast@gerryanderson.com, if you could hear my you having a wee. Moving on.
Yes, I think we should.
Let's get this back on track.
We've had lots of questions in about the upcoming Thunderbirds 60th anniversary Blu-ray set.
Yes. Tell us about that.
Well, it's a 60th anniversary Blu-ray set.
And that's the end of this week's... No, sorry.
Of Thunderbirds.
All of classic Thunderbirds and the 3 anniversary episodes. And all the classic episodes are presented in their original 4:3 format.
Right.
A film restoration. Now, I have a few people going, oh, it'll be AI. It's all AI restorations now. It's not. It's from the original film negatives. Those film negatives originally appeared on the Japanese set. However, we're remastering the remaster.
Oh, gosh.
There are some...
Can you do that? Is that allowed?
Yeah, it is. We're doing it. There were some small errors, alterations,
bits here and
things
there,
that were imperfect. Those are being, to the best of our abilities, fixed up. So it is a remaster from the original film negatives. So it's going to look as good as it is going to look in HD, which is great.
Yes.
Original soundtrack as well.
Original mono soundtrack, yes. So none of that fake stereo with added sound effects that all came up in the...
Although that is going to be on there as an option.
You
for
can
those
have that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You can have the really bad version if you really
It's not
want.
really bad, it's just not the original.
But it's been around enough, long enough now for people to sort of get used to it.
Yeah, okay.
And I know people have said in the comments that's how they first saw Thunderbirds.
Yeah, okay,
so
fine, yeah.
Yeah.
It has a place.
So you still get it.
Yeah.
And a plethora of extras.
Brilliant.
All being supervised by the one and only Chris Dale.
That's you. So why you know all about this then, Chris? So why would we
I
listen to him? We should be
kind of
talking to
know,
you, really.
Yes, but I don't know how much
Can
I'm
I
allowed to
ask,
say.
is this a limited release or will
yes.
it be forever available on the
Limited.
store?
It's a limited edition collector's set
Right.
for the 60th anniversary.
Wow. Amazing. Okay.
So, yes.
So getting quick, really.
Well, when it's available for
Yeah,
pre-order,
well,
yes.
yes.
But more announcements to come, and we'll have more trailers, and we'll be able to tell you more about the extras as they're put together. But we are pulling together lots and lots of stuff. Chris spent many hours drawing together a list of previous extra features and other things which perhaps
Existing
have
archive
Yes.
things
Gosh,
going
not
back
been seen.
quite a long way.
Yeah. Amazing.
Maybe we'll find things that haven't been seen for a while,
Oh.
or maybe not.
Oh. Okay. Well, he left me at the garden path there, didn't he?
all to be confirmed.
Yes. Great.
But if you've got any more questions about the set, do email us or, comment on Facebook or whatever. But if you see somebody saying, oh, it'll be an AI restoration, please do correct them very politely
Yeah.
and warmly.
But also, if you do have any issues with the existing restoration in that, I wish someone could come in and fix that, even if it's a very minor thing, do please let us know somehow, either in the comments or contact us directly, because this is the point now where we can actually do something about it.
okay.
Yes.
We can't make a bad episode good, but we can make that little moment where something isn't right
Yeah. Nice.
slightly better.
Are there any bad episodes?
Well, there's the Christmas episode.
Okay,
and
let's-
there's anything with a little kid in it.
Okay, yeah, no,
Wow.
let's
Harsh.
move on in
Yeah,
that
okay.
case. So we're very excited about that, and we have additional news coming about other restorations and things in due course. And in fact, there's something coming at the end of the month, isn't there?
Oh, yes.
Which we haven't even vaguely mentioned anywhere yet.
No, really?
And I don't think I'm allowed to mention yet.
No, but there's a 5-letter adjective that could describe it.
Crazy.
You're absolutely
Crazy,
right.
that's the word.
That's
Wow.
not the one, but
Oh.
it's close. Anyway, there you go. There's a little hint, and Chris has really given it away there, I think.
Has
with
he?
that. Yeah. It's impressive. Anyway, let's move on to you, Richard.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course.
Yeah, about
Main
time. Come on then.
We've had a lot of emails. Well, we've had several emails.
You've had one.
One from
You've
you,
had-
from you, complaining about the delayed release of
When is
Space
my book
Precinct:
coming out? Yeah.
Fight the Future. Well, we know it's coming, and I think we'll be able to announce a date next week.
Okay, great.
And it's very soon.
Which is perfect, really, because we've got the Blu-ray coming up, of course, so it'll all be, contemporaneous. I think,
Yes,
is
the
the word
Blu-ray is
to
going
use.
to arrive in stock in just 5 days' time from the date of release of this podcast.
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Well, yes, it is. I just had to recalculate there briefly, but that is true. As well as the Palette Eagle, which I mentioned last week from my M4 services.
Well, which we had here last recording session. We took it out and played with it.
We
Oh,
broke
did
it,
you?
didn't we? We broke it.
We broke it.
You
Threw
broke
around,
it?
Broke it, yeah. Tried to make it fly.
I haven't even seen it in the flesh yet.
It's good. It's beautiful, yeah. It's really nice.
The little canisters.
Is this, would you say, a good year to be a Gerry Anderson fan?
It's all right.
Okay. And that brings us to the end of this week's Gerry Anderson News.
Using
news.
But he's doing it in a very strange style, isn't he?
That was good. Got a good old warble going there.
Now I'm going to bring a halt to proceedings just for a moment and ask you to sit up straight, pay attention, because I'm going to introduce our next guest.
Oh, yes.
For 2 weeks, I'm going to be talking to Lindsay Harris.
Lovely Lindsay.
Now, lovely Lindsay, as we know him, worked on Space Precinct. And has got many stories about his time working as an animatronics operator. He worked alongside the likes of Richard Gregory, of course, Christine Glanville, I mean, some legends from the Gerry Anderson world, and me.
Yeah.
Talking of legends.
And also you, yes.
So let's hear what Lindsay Harris has to say for himself. Let's. You look familiar.
Yes, so do you.
Didn't we meet at Pinewood?
Yes, we did.
Ah, it must be Lindsay Harris.
Yes, Richard James as well.
Lindsay, welcome to the Gerry Anderson podcast.
Thank you.
So nice to see you after all these years.
Wow. Long time ago.
I know. I mean, we did meet once under very
Yes.
sad circumstances at
Yes,
Richard Gregory's funeral.
Gregory's funeral, yes.
Which we'll talk about, of
I'm
course.
pleased to say
Yeah.
that it's happier circumstances
Exactly.
today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, of course, we'll be mentioning Richard and many other people
Yes.
that you were very heavily involved with.
Massively, yeah.
For quite a part of your career.
Yeah.
Not just Space
Massive
Precinct,
part,
but beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Massive
Incredible.
part, yeah.
You're also one of the few people that you're sort of kind of a link also between the veterans from the Gerry Anderson universe, because I remember on Space Precinct we had the likes of Christine Glanville,
Yes.
who you had
Lovely
a
Christine.
working relationship with more
Yeah.
than I did in a way.
Yeah.
But we'll be talking about your role on Space Precinct a bit later on. So we're here primarily to talk about Gerry Anderson's stuff.
Yeah.
But what were you watching as a kid?
Well, I was obviously watching Gerry Anderson stuff.
Really?
Which I thought was just fantastic.
Yeah. What's your first kind of glimmerings of watching Gerry Anderson?
Well, I just remember, obviously, Thunderbird 2.
Ah.
But also, I just remember very vividly the Stingray intro.
Ah, the theme music
and the fish, coming out, and Stingray like chasing after it was just like, wow.
Yeah, great. Something about it obviously caught your imagination.
Yeah, and it was just like, I was like, wow, this is so different.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, because I watched it, obviously, when I was watching it, it was the second time round.
Yes, you're not
so
quite,
I'm not that old.
No, I know, yes.
But, so yeah, I remember that, and I remember this handsome chap.
Yeah,
Like the most handsome guy you're ever going to meet is Captain Scarlet.
Don't tell Wayne Forrester that.
Well,
Who ended up voicing him, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
well, that's what I was talking about, Wayne. But, no.
Yes, of
but
course you
yeah,
were.
I mean, he's like so vivid in my memory as well as a kid. And just brilliant.
Very often with our guests, there's a kind of a sense of nostalgia when they look back on the old stuff, because it was very much a family time to sit down.
Yeah.
Was that the case with you, to sit down and watch Gerry Anderson, or was it more of a solitary?
Because it was sort of like one of those things that I was so young when it sort of, indelibly imprinted itself on my brain. I kind of sort of remember my brother being around.
Right.
But then it was like, because it was like that the first time round, and then it sort of came on again a bit later on in the 70s.
Yeah.
And it was like on a Sunday, it was Thunderbirds. And it was like, my dad was like, I was always like, we're going to go and watch Thunderbirds,
Yeah.
It was like, and it'd be like, I was allowed not to sit up at the table and have Sunday dinner with everybody. I was allowed to go and see Thunderbirds because everybody knew how important it was for me to see it.
Yeah, nice.
But also I did, I think at that time when I was really young, and there was a lot of the Ray Harryhausen shows and stuff like that. And also I was really into like the $6 Million Man.
Right.
But I think that was kind of because of this guy, because he was like indestructible.
Very similar, absolutely right.
And he was kind of indestructible as well.
That's right, yeah. And was it the puppetry? I mean, you mentioned the Ray Harryhausen stuff, obviously the Gerry Anderson stuff.
I think it was that also, and it was the sort of, it was a different world.
Yeah.
It wasn't kind of reality.
Yeah.
It wasn't too fantasy.
Yeah.
It was a kind of, me and a friend when I was a kid, we used to call it sci-fact.
Sci-fact.
Yeah, because it was just like, it
like
was
it.
believable,
That's
but
true.
it was like,
Yeah, it's like the day after tomorrow, isn't it? That's when
it
it's
was
set.
like, and now I'm like, why aren't we driving around SPVs and
Yeah, I know. It'll
stuff
forever
like
be a
that.
disappointment, won't it?
So
Yeah.
that was kind of where I was with that, and it was always something a little bit I like things a little just different.
Yeah.
Something that was a little bit different.
Yeah.
That always kind of,
absolutely.
caught my attention, I think. Because I think the Ray Harryhausen stuff was sort of like swashbuckling adventure. Thunderbirds was like great because it was like, and you think, what a fantastic, because the family unit was really important.
Yeah.
And the fact that they had these incredible machines and they were like mega professional.
That's right, yeah.
About it, and they had this sort of secret organisation, so it's a bit James Bond as well.
Yeah.
But also the family kind of side of it was really, it was like the grandma was like always looking after everybody. The dad was like in charge.
Yes.
All the sons were like, always respectful.
That's right.
And they were like,
interesting.
Yes, father. No, they were always like, he'd go do this, and they were yes, father, and and then obviously had Brains and Lady Penelope. And it was a great format. Yeah. And he was like this. It was sort of grim and creepy, but it was like it wasn't like this. It was sort of epic, but it was kind of down little sort of back alleyways, and kind of
exactly
this sort of creepy sort of thing going on, but it was all sort of underhand and under the.
Well, people are often surprised quite how dark Captain Scarlet gets, and as a concept itself, it's quite a dark.
It's a really
idea,
grim concept, isn't it? It's
That's
to be
right.
sort of invaded by reanimated corpses.
Yes.
And,
yes. It's a kid show.
Yeah, and again, I thought that was, as a kid, I loved it because it was, obviously, it was really sort of gritty and kind of, really sort of. But it was it's like all these things, isn't it? I think if you've got a really good antagonist, that's where you start. And again, with Thunderbirds, with the Hood, and his Corona's brother.
Yeah.
Captain Scarlet, you got a phenomenal like nemesis.
Yeah.
And that makes the main protagonist even better. Because there's no margin for error. And again, sometimes in Captain Scarlet, they used to kind of lose, didn't they? They used to
that's right. Yes, exactly.
They
didn't always win the day.
Yeah, it didn't always. But,
Well, we're going to put your memory to the test because we're going to play a little game called Super Identification. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you some very quick clips, really quick clips of each one of Gerry's series, from the opening credits of each one of his series. Okay, the opening titles. When you see one that you know, shout it out. Okay. You see how many you get out of the 18, 19 series that he made between 57 and 2006. So let's see how you go. Number 1. It's very early days.
That's Twizzle.
Yes. Number 2 coming up.
That's Torchy.
Yes.
That's Four Feather Falls.
It is. Yeah, very good.
Supercar.
I mean, a lot of people struggle with these early ones.
Fireball XL5.
Yeah.
Stand by for action.
Stingray.
That's
like, doesn't get any better than that.
No.
Thunderbirds. Captain Scarlet.
I think you might be on a roll.
Joe 90.
Yeah.
Secret Service.
Yes.
That's UFO. That's the Protectors.
Very good. Well done.
Space 1999.
Yes.
This is an emergency.
Terrorhawks.
Here we go into the 80s.
I love that show. Stick Spanner.
Yes.
That's obviously
I wonder,
Space Precinct.
what could it be?
That's Lavender Castle.
Very good.
Right to prosper humans.
And finally,
New Captain Scarlet.
yes. Well. I mean, I would have expected you to have got at least one of those because you worked on it. But you got the maximum score.
Wow,
18
really? Oh my God.
out of 18.
That's me when I was like 24.
That's quite an old picture, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you're a very difficult man to find online, Lindsay.
Oh, wow, there you go.
That's the only picture I could find. Wow. So there you go. Well, 18 is a full house.
Oh, wow, cool.
As you'll see, now we started again in the new year, so here are some of our more recent guests.
Right, wow.
Sharon Mansfield, you might recognise, of course,
Yes,
has come to join us.
Yeah.
So 18.
17.
Yeah, 17 is not bad, is it? But 18 can't be beaten. So that's the signs of a misspent youth, I would say.
Well, I just you know.
Yes.
And once you see it, you know.
That's right.
Exactly. It's indelibly imprinted on your brain.
So, do you remember the moment where the light bulb came on in your mind that you might be able to work in this world?
Yeah.
And make shows like that?
I think it was like the Thunderbirds. I think, like, you know, Joe Knighty and stuff was coming along as well. And I was like, it was that kind of world of like, wow, this is like sort of models.
Yes.
And, you know, and I got that kind of idea.
Uh-huh. Were you a great model maker at home? Did you have all the Airfix kits?
We always used to have Airfix kits on the go. I used to get a kit and then I'd be disappointed how small it was, you know.
Yes, right.
Yeah, it was that kind of time. And then I was sort of, you know, there was like Space 1999 and the Eagles came out.
Yeah, yeah.
And the kits of those came out.
Yeah.
And they were, you know, I mean, you look at that and you go, well, that's why aren't we going to the moon in these, you know, instead of the shuttle
cool.
and
that's
know, rockets and, you know. And then, and then this sort of Star Wars came out and I think I saw a making of Star Wars and it showed all, you know, all behind the scenes and models and all the creature stuff. And I was like, wow, this is, you know, I'd like to do this sort of thing.
Never in front of the camera. Never crossed your mind to.
Wow,
do you think?
Not really. I suppose it was anything to do with that kind of world. You know, like sort of creating a fantasy kind of world, really.
And then, what was your way in then? How did you?
Well, you know, it was a little bit later because I sort of, and then I watched The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And I watched the making of that, and then I was like, wow, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know? And then. I suppose when I was about 14, 15, I was at college. I was doing drama at college, so I was a little bit, you know. But and then I think I got the Yellow Pages out, and I thought, I wonder if there's any film studios in sort of Oxfordshire where I lived at the time. And there was a company called Oxford Scientific Films, and because I have dyslexia, and I used to ring them up and say, "Can I?" You know, and they'd be, "Oh, you have to write a."
Yeah. So I was like, that's a stumbling block.
And then it was like 4 or 5 times I did this, and it was like, "No, you really need to write. Is this Lindsay again?" It's like you really. And I was like, "Okay." And then I got one of the tutors at college. I was about 15 then, to help me write a letter to Oxford Scientific Films, and I wrote them a letter.
Yeah.
Can I come and do some work experience or whatever? And they went, yeah. And I was like, and then I was there.
I see. Okay. So what sort of stuff are you making for that? Was it like corporate stuff or educational?
Well, it was really good because they did feature films.
Wow.
They did, it was feature films. They did a stills library. They did a film library. They did a natural history department. Yeah. And they did a commercials department all in one.
Amazing.
I was like, wow, this is like, I'm working at ILM.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
So
exactly.
I went there, and there's a guy there called Archie Ruff, and I sort of worked with him. And then obviously the first day I was there, I met Richard Gregory.
Right. Really.
You know,
I see.
And he was, I was 15, and he was about 30.
Yeah.
So there's a big age, you know, but it was like, he sort of immediately somehow sort of took me under his wing.
Yeah.
You know, and we were working on these two feature films. I can't remember one of them, but the other one was called Pulse.
Right.
And it was like where the sort of electronics took over or something, and we did all these little macro photography and stuff like that. And the other one, we did a load of underwater stuff.
Okay, yeah. In a big tank somewhere? Or,
it was like a 70 by 20 water tank. You know?
Yeah, amazing.
And it was like, you know, like I said, I thought, wow, I'm at ILM here. You know, it was like, which it wasn't.
But it felt like it.
Yeah, it felt like
Absolutely.
it because it was just incredible, you know, and they had a workshop there and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, we were building these big, it was like a big lock or a key or something we were doing. And I was amazed. They got all these fiberglass wooden beams and stuff like that. Yeah. And there was part of it that was like, they got all this green fur.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's this then? It's like, well, that's like the little bits of seaweed and stuff. And they, glued it all in. And of course, when it was underwater, it all sort of moved.
Yeah, perfect.
It was amazing.
Very good.
So I started there, and then I started doing commercials.
I see. Still under sort of Richard's wing?
Well,
or?
I was sort of there with Richard on certain projects.
Yeah.
There's another guy, Gerry Harris, that was there, and a couple of others. But it was all really, a really good environment to be that young and
absolutely right.
And people kind of like
an experience that would probably be quite difficult to come by these days. It strikes me it's much harder to get in
I think
through the door, isn't it?
It's like now you have to have so many,
And there are so many people applying, of course, for so few.
Yeah, but I think also there's not really, it's like practicality of stuff, and it's very difficult to, it seems like a close, very sort of email this, email that kind of
Yes,
world,
and never get a reply, of course. That's the thing. Okay, well, we'll talk about how you then came to be involved with Space Precinct from those early days. But before we do that, let's have a look at your first Anderson memory, and let's have a chat about this. Take a look here.
Right.
Oh, ouch. Well, I mean, it's the stuff of nightmares, isn't it, really?
It is. I mean, it's like heart-pounding stuff now, isn't it? But I think it just really stuck with me so much.
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's nightmare fuel, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like
trapped underwater.
And his air's going.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's trying to open his leg on this big clam thing. I so remember that so vividly.
Really?
Yeah, it was like, these things that just really stick in your mind, and that was one of them.
Yeah, it's usually the moments of horror or terror that stick in the mind. We never remember the funny bits or the sweet bits, do we?
Just like the thought of being stuck down at the bottom of the ocean, your air running out, and you got a massive clam on your leg.
Yes.
It was just like, how... And then again, it's always that thing, it's just like, I watch it now and you think it's just, the kind of Hitchcockian way it's shot, and the close up of the thing.
Absolutely.
And you're just like, wow, and as a little kid, it was just like, it was like horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, it's very often said that Gerry Anderson, that he never spoke down to kids. They made like movies for adults.
This guy never,
that's right, exactly.
It was like.
So were you aware when you were watching things like Joe 90 that it was part of a larger stable of work from the same production company?
I think it was kind of, because I remember also there was like a Joe 90 book, and we had that.
Oh yeah.
And somehow in my head I was like, well, these are real people, aren't they? This is real.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the puppets were so good. I mean, Joe 90's head is probably about that big or something, and it's just like the detail that was in it was incredible. And I literally, I think it was like a Joe 90 pamphlet or something, or it was like a little, summer special or something like that, or an annual.
Yeah.
And the photographs, I was like, well, these are... My brother was like, no, they're puppets. I was like, no, they're not.
What do you mean?
They're real.
They're clearly not puppets.
I hadn't seen, I hadn't seen it then, but then, when I started watching it, it was like, wow, this is amazing,
Yeah, because your imagination does the rest, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it does, you know. And again, I sort of, obviously, seen Thunderbirds and that, but again, it was done in such a sort of way, it just kind of, it all flowed, and you didn't really... It wasn't like, oh, well, it's a puppet show, or it's this or that. It was just, as soon as you saw that style, it was like... And then I think it was like that linked together. And then I think I was on holiday in Hastings.
Right.
And I vividly remember this as well, that I found a Fireball XL5 annual.
Okay.
In this little sort of dusty shop, and it was like, wow, this is really good. And then I was like... And my mum and dad bought it. And then I sort of was like, on the way home looking at this book, I thought, this is really weird. These characters look a bit like Thunderbirds.
Right, yes.
And
then
I
see.
And it was like, found out that obviously...
Yes.
There was like Fireball XL5 and all the other...
And so much more, that's right. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And I suppose at that time, it was like... I don't think they ever really aired Twizzle and Torchy back in the 70s. Early 70s.
No, I'm not sure they did. No, that's right.
But then there was like obviously Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet and J90.
All the colour series, basically. Yeah, that's right.
It was, and Stingray, obviously.
Yeah, that's right. Now, before we come on to questions from our viewers and listeners, let's talk about Space Precinct then.
Yes.
Let's talk about when did you first... Actually, it was called Space Police, wasn't it, originally?
Yes.
When did you first hear the word Space Police?
Well, I think I was at Oxford Scientific Films then.
Yeah.
And Greg was talking about Space Police.
Yeah.
And
we're talking sort of 93, 94, I guess, just before it got off the ground.
Well, I think it was after, because it had been made then.
The pilot. Yes, got you, right.
Yes. Or a bit later, I can't remember, but then there was this sort of rumblings of this, and then I don't think it was it, it sort of, they did the pilot, and I don't think they aired the pilot even.
Yeah.
And then Greg was sort of, and I'd been with Greg on a few things with Gerry, and we did I think it was like a Top Gear thing. And he said, "Oh, do you want to come and puppeteer Lady Penelope?" And I was like,
"Right,
oh, okay, yeah,
wow."
And it was like doing, because Christine was there, and I was doing that because I think we'd changed all the solenoids for. Greg had changed them for RC.
Okay.
So they were little servo-operated mouths.
Ah, I see.
And he said, "Do you want to come and..."
Nice.
So then that was like, I'd never done it before.
Yeah.
It was like, you had the script, and it was like, and obviously trying to get the punctuation right and all that sort of stuff. So we did that.
Yeah.
And then we'd done a couple of other things. We'd done the... what did I say earlier? The... Calling Elvis video.
So you were involved with that as well?
Yeah, so
I
we worked
see.
on that. Then, and also we'd done the Thunderbirds FAB Next Generation.
Yep.
Greg had worked
the models for the heads.
And I'd helped Greg with those.
Yes.
And then I think we'd done like the Blue Peter thing, and it was all sort of all the time.
Yeah.
Greg was talking about this Space Police, Space Precinct thing, and then we were working at Crawley Creatures with Jez Harris, and then he started sort of doing this sculpt to this two-eyed crayon thing.
Yes.
And I was like, and he's sort of gone, because this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to split that there, put this bit here, and I was like, wow, this is going to be really, And he bought he got some like leather biker stuff. Yeah. Because I think they were going to do like a test thing with it. And then that sort of went away for a little bit, and then it sort of came back, and then he was like, this Space Precinct, Space Police thing, might go, do you want in on it? I was like, yeah.
Do I?
And this was like, and it took quite a long time from then we ended up doing we did like a test stuff we did.
Right.
And then that was put into the old series.
Yes, and they made a kind of a rebooted version of the pilot.
It was like a redux
mini,
or rebooted version of it.
I see.
And Greg had sort of...
With the likes of Rob Thurtle and Andy Dawson,
I think. It was Rob Thurtle and Andy Dawson. Yeah. And I think Rob was the crayon.
That's it.
Which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
And Andy did the tar.
That's right.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And we did that.
So what was your role on that? What were you operating then, or just sculpting?
I did do some operating, but I think I was just helping out in general, and sort of doing the makeup and stuff, helping with that and like little, prosade and...
Yeah, prosade. There's a word I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, prosade,
Yeah, the glue.
Stickiest stuff on the planet.
Horrible, yeah.
And then I remember, I don't think I was there that day, but Greg was saying it was like just him and Gerry Anderson in a room, and I was like literally waiting for the phone to ring. And then it did, and Gerry put the phone down. It was like, I said, we've got to make the thing now.
Blimey.
So it was like,
yeah.
And then it was like, because we were in a little shed by the Bond stage, I think. And then, and then we sort of, I think it was a few weeks, and then we sort of moved into there was one just outside M stage.
Right.
It was like a big workshop.
Yeah.
we set up in there.
Yeah.
And then you guys started coming in. We're doing
And off we
live
went.
casts and stuff.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, we'll talk more about your experience working on the series, of course. But for now, I'm going to dive into our Space 1999 lunchbox
Yes, okay.
and ask you some questions from our viewers and listeners. So I'm just going to take a handful of these. That'll do for this week. And let's see how we go.
That's a very loved lunchbox.
Isn't it?
Isn't it?
It's great, isn't it? We all want one. Okay, so first of all, we have Steve Bushell.
Hello, Steve Bushell.
And Steve says, "Hi, Lindsay. Welcome to the
Hi.
best podcast on the airways."
There you go.
He obviously thinks you were going to be a guest on some other podcast somewhere. Now, what was the most challenging aspect of operating animatronics on Space Precinct? And did you have any particularly memorable experiences working with Gerry Anderson on the show? Thank you, from Steve. So what were the most challenging aspects of working on the series?
I think the most challenging thing was obviously...
The actors.
Well, yeah.
Looking at me.
Well, actually, you guys were very good, actually. Was the getting the eyes and everything, and you're acting and how kind of like, synced all together, because sometimes you'd sort of be, you'd be going that way and I'd be looking over that way, be going,
Yes.
oh, right, okay, well, so we're over this way. So then and obviously sometimes as well, when you were sort of coming toward, you'd be doing a left movement or whatever, and then obviously when somebody comes the opposite way, you have to go the opposite way and things like that.
That's
so
right, of course, yeah.
it's getting all the eyes moving in the right direction. And like I said, sometimes you'd be like coming towards us, and you do the eye, and then you obviously, and then you go away, and you're all right. Which way is it?
They swap round now. Yeah, that's right.
So,
and the thing is, of course, that we had very little rehearsal time, and we had sort of a camera rehearsal, really, and that was it. Then we
didn't
shoot
really
the
have
scene.
any time at all.
But I remember we used to kind of take whatever time we could to at least discuss.
Yes.
If there were particular moments that we thought should be marked, we'd come to you and say, "Lindsay, what do you think? I think I'd be surprised at this," or whatever it might be.
There or something.
That's
like
right,
that,
exactly. But what was so enthralling about it was kind of like two performances melding together to become one, wasn't it? I always felt.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, you guys were leading, but we were just sort of trying to, with the mask, emphasise what you were, and trying to sort of either, not too much and not too little, and because I think the first couple of weeks were quite difficult.
I was going to say, was there an element of learning on the job?
Yeah, it was, and it was like the first couple of weeks was a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
It was like, how many blinks is too many blinks, and what, and obviously you'd sort of be looking at you or the actor or whatever was, and you'd do, and it's like, it doesn't quite read on where the camera is.
That's right.
So the first couple of weeks was
baptism of fire, really, for all of us.
Yeah, and like you said, we didn't have, it was like literally, off you go.
That's right. Yeah, amazing.
Take one, and then it was like,
that's it. Did we not get another go?
It was.
This is Simpsons Clips, who says, "Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, Simpsons Clips.
If there were to be some sort of Space Precinct theme park ride, would you be willing to operate the animatronics for that?"
Yes, absolutely.
A police cruiser ride, maybe?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool, that'd be all right, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Did you ever sit in one of those?
I did. Who didn't?
They were cool, weren't they?
They were great. They were really good.
From memory, we had a full size, just the one, I think, that they used to wheel in.
Yeah, and then there was. I can remember there was one in one of the episodes where I think there was like you, Lou, Wayne, and somebody else all crammed into this.
I know. Yeah, crazy. Oh, that's right. That's probably.
And there was like, I think it was like a. Was that the one that was like an 8?
Yeah, there's well in.
There's well in, that's
right.
it. So there's like Rob as well. And there was like, everybody was crammed into this little cruiser thing.
There wasn't an awful lot of room in there, was there, particularly in the back?
And then again, it was like, trying to get the leads not showing and batteries.
Yes. And I remember, wasn't there sometimes there's kind of a certain amount of interference if there were too many of them going at the same time?
Yeah, because you have a crystal, you have 2 crystals, one in the RC
unit,
and one in the receiver. And then sometimes the crystals or whatever used to, and you'd all be going,
glitching.
Don't do that. It's like, no, we've got a bit of a problem. We'll sort it out. So.
Simon Frisbee says, "Hi, Lindsay. Thanks for doing the podcast. There's lots of talk about physical special effects and models being a dying art form, what with CGI. Do you think there's hope that physical work will carry on into the future?"
I hope it does. I really hope it does, because I personally, I don't think you can beat it. I think for like when we did like Space Precinct, you can't beat a creature on someone's, and acting and and now, I mean, the servos and everything, they're like microscopic
I bet.
now. Then they were like
That's
big,
right. And
now
noisy
they're
too.
like
I remember.
this big.
Yeah, incredible. And finally, for now, Rich Goodborn says, if Space Precinct was to be made today, would CGI be needed to assist with the animatronics like the Henson Company did for the Dark Crystal miniseries? So would it look different today, do you think, if we made the series now 30 years later?
I think it would. Obviously, we could make improvements on it because of the technology we've got. But I think, again, it all is a basis of a good performance and a good symbiotic kind of, animatronics. And then, if it needs enhancing with digital, fantastic. But I think it's like digital is a tool in the box.
Yes,
it's
right.
not a, because I think a lot of things, like if you'd have done like Orin or whatever, completely CG, it kind of just, you have to have an eye for it or a feel for it, because I think sometimes when they do the CGI, they have never done practical effects.
Right, sure thing.
And, and again, like Phil Tippett, who, did all the stop motion stuff on the Star Wars films and that, he then was a supervisor on doing all the dinosaur stuff, which went CG. So
yes.
Got to have somebody with an eye for it.
Yeah, and a grounding in the real world, in the real
because it's
practical.
that thing, you just like, it's trying to, again, it's the fantastic CGI stuff. I still think you can't quite get the look and the sheen on things, and it just doesn't quite work. And I think a massive thing is the eyes. When you've got CGIs, they're just dead. And I think even like because the eyes that were on, obviously the crayons and that, and the times, they were like sort of specifically, artwork.
Yes, hand painted, weren't they?
Hand painted,
that's right,
and then they were Dremeled, and and they had real depth, and and obviously then we used to go in there with a little bit of oil and get all the gloss.
That's it. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
glossing your lips up. And all that sort of stuff.
Great, lovely memories. We'll talk more about Space Precinct next week and beyond, of course, because you've had a long and illustrious career, Lindsay. So we'll talk about that as well. Will you come back next week?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Fantastic. See you then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much to Lindsay Harris. Aww. Well, from a personal point of view, it's always nice to catch up with people 3 decades later. I have seen him in the interim a couple of times, but...
he's one of the interviewees on the Space Precinct Blu-ray documentary. So if you've enjoyed seeing him on the podcast this week, get the Blu-ray, you'll see even more.
Even if you haven't enjoyed seeing him on the podcast, get the Blu-ray, I'd say.
Yes, because there's plenty of other people on there. Chris, just as a reminder, how long is the documentary on the Space Precinct Blu-ray?
I believe it is just over 2 hours.
That's ridiculous.
Yes. Well, you kept talking. Everyone else
That's what I love about it, though, is obviously that's a very comprehensive piece of work, which is very befitting of a 30th anniversary, and probably about the best it's ever going to get, isn't it? You're never going to see anything like that again about Space Precinct.
Yeah, no, it's probably Space Precinct's final physical release.
Unless Lou Hirsch has an epiphany. We can chat to him.
Maybe not. Talking of epiphanies, some people wake up in the morning with a flash of light to think, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to email the Gerry Anderson podcast at podcast@gerryanderson.com and let them know my thoughts and comments. Shall we hear what they've been emailing us about?
I think we should, because otherwise they'll have wasted their time.
Yeah, it would have been a pointless introduction.
It would indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the voice of the Podsterons.
Hi all.
Hi.
That's not me talking. No,
Who's that then?
Because I've already said hello. That's Stuart in Birmingham.
Ooh,
and that's
very
exactly what
nice.
he's written. I'm not being
impressive,
stereotypical.
Impressive accent.
Hi all. Something that came to mind recently from watching the various Anderverse shows on the likes of Talking Pictures, but which also came to mind during this week's Randomiser watching of a Joe 90 episode, if you remember that, Jamie. I've seen several shows that have a content warning for things that would have been more acceptable in the time that they were made, but not so much now. Are you aware of any Gerry Anderson episodes that are unlikely to be seen again because of this sort of thing? can't imagine there are many, if any, given the oft progressive nature of the shows, certainly for their day at least. The occasional lazy racial stereotype and casual smoking might rule out a rerun on children's TV, but with the warning in place, they seem fair game. Is there anything that we know of being outright banned? I'm thinking particularly of UK TV, since that's what we're most familiar with, but it would be interesting to know if there's anything banned further afield. From Stuart. Interesting.
Well,
are there any Anderson shows that will never be seen again?
I mean, there's a difference between it being seen on television and it getting a home media release.
Yes.
Everything is safe for home media release as far as I know.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Regarding the shows being on television, I'm not aware of anything.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some episodes of, I'm thinking in particular Supercar, where there's one called Dragon of Ho Meng.
Oh, yeah.
Which is very stereotypical.
Okay.
There's one where they go to another, I think it's India or something, and there's things like that. I'm thinking.
I just think if you're going to sit down and watch something from the 1960s, it's sort of implicit, isn't it, that attitudes may have changed and will change again in the next 50 years.
Yes. We will have said doubtless cancelable things on the podcast
Yes.
that are fine now, but in 10 years' time will not be.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah.
But there are, I think, going back to the BBC, there's episodes of Precinct and 1999 UFO, even Joe 90, that were cut for violence and such. I know the last time Joe was shown on British television, it went out with an epilepsy warning,
Right.
which is another
Yes,
thing
Yeah.
to
of course.
consider.
Yeah.
The only thing I think that would not get shown is the first episode of series 2 of Dick Spanner,
Ah, yes.
because that is particularly
Adlam.
racy, shall we say?
Since there's no episodes 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on for series 2 of Dick
Right.
Spanner, I think that one's safe.
There's no reason it would do, but even when we put that out as a home release in 2017, we put a content warning on it then because
Yeah.
it was a little bit,
Yeah.
Yes.
it was of its time, and you should view it through that lens.
Yes.
So,
Quite right, exactly. One for you there, Jamie, I think.
Jonathan Westall has written.
Oh, yes.
Hello, Jamie, Richard, Chris, and my fellow Podsterons.
Oh, that's nice.
yeah.
everybody.
Hope
Yeah,
you're
Chris.
all well.
Yeah, I am actually, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
We're
yes.
having a bit of a moan beforehand
We
about
were,
our
but we
knees
won't
and
bring
our
that into
backs
the
and so on,
podcast.
but
There was
yeah.
lots of complaining before this started. Anyway, Jonathan says, I've received and watched my copy of Standby for Action 2, Tunes of Danger on Blu-ray, of which I was able to spot where I sat in the audience that night. And it was brilliant from
I know where I
start to
am as
finish. Me too. It was brilliant from start to finish, and to be able to relive the experience anytime I wish is an absolute joy.
Yes, that's nice, isn't it?
Hear, hear.
Yeah.
Just like any episode of the podcast.
Yeah,
Absolute joy.
maybe.
I know people have been requesting a Standby for Action 3 concert.
Oh, it's happening this year, isn't it?
No,
Come on,
stop it.
tomorrow.
No, Jonathan's more sensible than you, which I know won't be happening this year.
Yeah.
However, if I may, I have an idea of something you could possibly do when it does happen. Ready for this?
Yes, go on.
What if
Yeah.
you were to show
Yeah.
a classic episode
Of.
of a Gerry Anderson series,
Of.
say for example, Thunderbirds Trapped in the Sky, and have the orchestra perform the entire soundtrack to it live?
Wow.
Just a thought I wanted to share with you. Keep up the good work. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what plans you have for the 60th anniversary of Thunderbirds this year. I have the new Corgi toys on pre-order. FAB,
Great.
SIG, PWR, OR.
Yes.
Jonathan Westall.
That's a lovely idea, isn't
We've
it?
already discussed doing exactly that. And in fact, it was discussed as part of Standby for Action 2, funnily enough. Part of the problem is that we don't have separated dialogue and effects tracks
Right.
necessarily,
Right.
I believe.
No, you could get
but we-
the effects tracks, but
Yeah, so
dialogue is
they
a bit harder.
can now be split using modern technologies.
Yes.
Thank you, AI.
Yes.
So it's definitely something that we would like to consider at some point.
Lovely.
I think it would be a very special experience.
That's great because there's lots of there's Bond movies and Muppet movies and all sorts of stuff being orchestrated live
Yes.
in cinemas. That's lovely.
Didn't you go see Shaun the Sheep or something like that?
I did go and see Shaun the Sheep.
How old
You're
are you?
right. I took my goddaughter.
Fair enough.
So
I went on my own to see Shaun the Sheep.
Yes, that
and
doesn't surprise me
I
at all.
have no shame.
Well, we know that. Chris,
G'day, Jamie, Richard,
What?
and Chris.
what's going on here?
amazing.
Sending an email through as I've just thought of a possible and perfect idea for a possible physical media
Hang on.
collaboration.
I know that voice. Is that Hugh Porter?
It might be. As Chris may know, as an IDC collector, in Australia, a company named Imprint Films have been re-releasing iconic titles in these beautiful hardbox cases, featuring
mouthful.
bonuses
It's very
and
good.
120-page booklets, including, but not all, The Prisoner, The Persuaders, Randall and Hopkirk, my now new favourite ITC programme outside of the worlds of Anderson.
Yeah, it's great.
And have also released Space 1999 and a new upcoming release of UFO in March. I believe it's been pushed back to April. The reason why I bring this company up is that with possible communication and collaboration with Imprint Films, Century 21 Films, as they have also been restoring some episodes, and Anderson Entertainment, we can see a beautiful Thunderbirds hard box case Blu-ray set in the original 4.3, if IDV approve it naturally. Also, Australia Blu-ray region code is the same as the UK region B. So finally, a perfect set for all of us to enjoy for the 60th anniversary. What do you guys think? And does Chris know what I'm talking about? I do. Also, regarding my job as a parcel sorter, this is so good. Heaps of mail passes through each and every day, up to a minimum 100,000 each day, and is basically impossible to tell if I did or have carried an Anderson shop parcel. But if I have, or if I will, I would be most honoured to bring joy to safely process it through. Lastly, but not least, I would like to confirm that, Jamie, you have guessed my age correctly.
Oh yeah, that was fun, wasn't it?
Well done. When deciding, you said that I was 20, 27, 28. The answer is that I'm a 20. A young adult podsteron. I apologise, I've made you sound much older. Anyhow, all the best. Hugh Porter.
Wow, the many voices of Chris Dale.
I know.
Amazing. Hugh, I mean, you've got to be happy with that. That's better than my Kiosk Keith from I'm a Celebrity.
No, I mean, they're both great in their own ways.
But I have to have an Aussie off one.
Yes. An Aussie off, I beg your pardon. Not on camera.
Yes, I do know of Imprint Films. I get most of their stuff. And it's very nicely done.
I mean, I was so bamboozled by the amazing accent. What was Hugh's point again?
Well, he thinks that maybe there should be a Thunderbirds Blu-ray release.
Okay, got you.
4x3.
Well, I mean, we're doing one. And we are talking to Imprint about other stuff anyway. So, yes, we know Josh.
Because some of our stuff is on the upcoming UFO set.
Exactly, yes. So we're already chatting.
Brilliant.
So thanks, Hugh. And thank you, Chris, for that
incredible
performance.
Yeah, it was an incredible performance. Now, a little earlier on, I asked this week's special guest, Lindsay Harris, to press the big red button to choose an episode from a random Gerry Anderson series for us to watch.
Still smells like him.
Weird. Shall we see how he got on? Yes. Put it down, Chris.
Okay, guys, it's randomiser time. 3, 2, 1.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, there we go.
I love it when that happens. Yeah. Saves a lot of time.
Of us watching the screen. Yes, thank goodness.
Thank goodness it's not you, Captain Scarlet. We have to go all the way to the end.
Chris, tell us everything you know about Four Feather Falls in 5 feather seconds.
In Four Feather Falls, there's always magic in the air. In Four Feather Falls, you'll always find a vacant chair.
Right.
Perfectly done.
Nailed it.
Specs on.
Everything.
Oh, yeah, I've missed this.
Oh, yeah.
Specs on.
The 4 feathers on this hat are magic.
I hope it's an exciting episode.
They're all exciting.
Are they?
It's a classic show.
In their own way.
Yeah, he's got guns.
Yeah, you just said just now, you know, if you're going to watch shows from the 60s, you have to remember that you've got to the lens.
Yeah.
Well, this is from the 50s,
So a more leisurely form of storytelling? Is that
leisurely action.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
They do cram a lot into 12 minutes. This is a very familiar Captain Scarlet style shot.
Yeah. It's a precursor to Scarlet. It is lovely, though.
This is exciting.
Yeah. Ooh, a bad name.
Okay.
Right, I'm in the mood now.
Right, good. Oh, straight into the song.
Oh.
Yeah. Not wasting any time this week.
This is the most musical of the Anderson shows, isn't it, really?
Well, it's a tie between this and Terrorhawks, isn't it?
Right.
With Kate Kestrel's songs.
Cause the Hopi Indians of old saw a white
Right. We'll get him yet.
Now you can see.
But at least this is helping to tell the story. Big Ben is being chased by some other ne'er-do-wells.
They say the chief said, tie him up, pale-face he.
I suppose the musical version is better than just pure exposition of him explaining to somebody what's going on.
Absolutely.
Reason why when the clouds are tipped with silver.
Although, unfortunately, there's only, I think, 4 songs and 39 episodes, so you do hear them a lot.
Yes.
Unlike Kate Kestrel, who's got about 20.
And they do generally bring a halt to the action, don't they?
They do, yes. But
not in this case, as you say.
Quite nice songs.
No use, Lefty. He's outrunning us. Where is he headed? Seems like Full Feather Falls.
Oh, how convenient.
Yes.
I love this, though, because that background is being, I guess, wheeled in while the horse is static.
Right.
It's very impressive, horse riding, actually. That was a great entrance as well. People say, the puppies can't walk and all that sort of stuff.
They managed it fine, yeah.
They did an amazing job.
There's his horse.
That's very good.
Now we got him. You've got to help me.
So this is regular villain Big Ben, who's done lots of bad things in the past.
But I didn't do it. I swear it.
Lucky chance. Okay, you stay here. I'll see to this.
Hey, Tex, where's Ben? You seen him?
I seen him. Why? You want him?
Sure, we want him. We chased him plenty miles, and we're gonna get him.
What's he done?
Cattle rustler.
Now, I'll tell you what's really good about that is that horse's head moving.
Yes.
Which kind of stops it just being a dead, inanimate
Well, it would be blowing a bit more after galloping for 20 miles.
Who are you?
But when you see the horses front on, those two actually look reasonable for this show, but sometimes they do look a bit derpy.
Right.
To do with it. I stole your lion talk. You stole them cattle, and I'm gonna kill you for it.
Seems you got a pretty good case against him, Lucky. So I'll tell you what to do.
I don't need no advice.
You go swear out a warrant, and I'll bring in Red Scalp so they both stand trial.
There's only one way to deal with rustlers. That's just...
Oh, is it a courtroom episode?
Oh, it could be. That'd be nice, yeah. I was just thinking, though, it's strange you go from Torchy, which is unintentionally sinister, to, I mean, people talk about stringing other people up.
Yes.
People get killed in this show,
Yes.
usually off screen, but it's...
Now turn them horses around and get out of this town. And don't show your faces here till you've cooled off.
The voice of reason.
Yeah, 2 minutes before the end of the episode, you can come back.
Dusty, go on over and get Twink and Doc. I want them over here pronto.
Sure thing, boys.
Do it yourself.
Yeah. Of course, no one else can hear the dog speak, so
Yes.
the dog is just going to turn up, bark at them and go, they're going to do the whole Lassie thing.
Now start talking. Where's Red Scalp?
I don't know. He got away.
Why are they after you?
I don't know.
You ain't gonna tell me you wouldn't stoop to cattle rustling.
Not from Lucky Chance. He's too dangerous. He takes.
Of course, this could all be a setup, leaving the villain alone in the sheriff's office. He can help himself to all kinds of keys and money and
But
such.
for the moment, we're being asked to empathise with the bad guy, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Oh, very modern.
The finger.
I never said that. I'll see they don't get you. But it's gonna be done my way.
Oh,
You can start
with singing.
your guns on my desk. Now get him there.
Very compliant villain, isn't he?
I think he's modelled on an actor named Jack Elam,
Okay.
who had quite distinctive eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a borderline Marty Feldman vibe going on.
Okay.
I just want to be sure I know where to find you when I want you.
The barking worked.
Doc?
Howdy.
Your dog came over and barked at us, so we thought we'd come over and see what's going.
What's going on over at Lucky Chance's spread? Lucky says it's Ben. So I'd like you to keep an eye on him while I'm gone.
Hold it, Tex.
Yeah, fair enough.
You can't leave me like this. That two ain't gonna be no use against Lucky. Yeah, what do you mean? Did you remember you're talking to Ebenezer Twink?
If I can get a lead on them cattle, we'll know once and for all who did steal them.
Don't you worry yourself, Tex. We'll look after Ben like he was our own little boy.
To be sure,
Yes. Bumble drop voice, yeah.
Yeah, look here, Ben. Ain't you got trouble enough?
I reckon we'd better get going, Dusty.
He's so sweet.
Any sign yet, Dusty?
Not a thing, boy.
We've come quite a way.
Yeah, it'll be...
Hang on, you're on a horse, probably 10 feet up.
Yes.
And you're asking a little dog.
Any sign.
Any sign?
Any scent of him.
Well, you
I
tell
think
me.
it probably should have been, shouldn't it?
Again, this looks really atmospheric as well. I think there's a similar shot in the episode that we had HD colorized.
Yes.
It's just the shadows so strong.
Where's Tex Tucker?
He'll be back, never you fear.
Well, Dusty?
Poor thing.
Oh, boy. Not a sign of him.
Poor little paws will be red raw now.
Yeah.
Oh,
You want to summon Dusty?
Sure am. Nice work,
nice work, old bean.
I also imagine that Kenneth Connor must have been one for sort of acting as a dog when he's doing all this. In the same way when we had Denise doing the Terrorhawks audios and she played a dog and she was properly into it, wasn't
Yeah.
she?
Oh gosh, yeah, she really was embodying a canine.
I can do a cat as well.
A word with him. Come on, and keep it quiet.
So going back to the email earlier about potentially sort of characters and things you wouldn't get away with on TV today, possibly this show's representation of Indians, essentially,
Native
is a
Americans
bit,
is a little bit.
Native Americans, yeah, thank you.
Scalp got nothing to say to Tex Tucker.
It's a bit problematic.
Away from Lucky Chance.
No.
Again, of its time.
Yeah.
Yes, through a 50s lens.
Yeah.
This? How did you get hold of them Brandon eyes?
Ooh.
Very nice.
Scout. Because if you've still got nothing to say, I'm handing you straight over to Lucky Chance. Now come on, who you working for?
No. Red Scalp talk.
With forked tongue?
Not with forked tongue. Him speak true.
That's a very long shot.
That was a really long bit. I mean, it was lovely to see.
We're
but
underrunning, chaps. What do we do?
Break out the horses.
They've been out and I'll leave here and not make no trouble for you.
Ah, you're wasting your time, Lucky. Tex ain't here. And I ain't letting Ben go. Not until Tex says so.
I've got a winning hand. I ain't giving this up for nothing.
Yeah, that makes it nice and easy.
oh,
This all
that was a good cut, wasn't it?
no.
That's just what I thought. Come on, Red Scalp. Get on your horse. You're coming back to Four Feather Falls with me.
No. Red Scalp know what to go.
Red Scalp.
Even though I'm a semi-recurring villain and I end up there every other week anyway. I don't want to go there. Now, is that hay going to catch fire?
The flash on the guns.
Yeah, drawn in, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, scratched on.
Yeah, scratched on.
Aha.
Very effective, though.
I never thought we'd be fighting a gun battle to protect Ben.
So he's looking right down the lens. He's talking to us there, isn't he?
Now, if you don't like the way we're handling this, you just say the word and we'll go home.
Sounds like Lucky's got there ahead of us. Come on, let's speed it up.
Let me out of here. Give me a gun, will you? Don't keep me here like a rat in a trap.
Oh, you're getting nervous, Ben, me boy. You're in good hands.
Very light-hearted when their lives are at stake.
Yeah.
I'll get around the back. Okay.
Well, it happens every week, so they're all all used to. I think everyone in Four Feather Falls, except for the kid, has a gun.
Right. Yeah.
This happens all the time.
Yeah.
But the speed that they're creating the illusion of movement there.
I'm gonna get Ben, Tucker, and you ain't gonna stop me.
Oh, you stopped me.
Very impressive.
Doc, quit firing. It's Tex.
We've broken all the crockery.
You're safe.
Oh, yeah, because there's the back door window on the jail cell.
Okay, Ben. This is where you get it. No,
Oh, dear.
Uh-oh.
I didn't do it.
Oh.
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 I brought you a friend, Ames. Come on and say hello. Pronto. Go on, Red Scalp. Say your piece.
No,
Start talking.
Come on.
Tell him who was in it with you.
it was the paleface. Oh, no, you don't.
It was who?
You shoot up your
Paleface.
mouth and I'll put it
Paleface.
Something him, yeah.
Was you, Matt?
Right.
Why, you low down.
Very good.
I made my dough out of you and I'm leaving. Leaving Texas for good and all. Nobody's gonna hold me. Not you, no Tex Tucker, nor nobody.
You You ain't going no.
On the other hand,
You gotta learn it don't do to frame nobody. Not even when it's a dog with a bad name. Now you get inside and change places with Ben. Go on. Get moving.
Nice.
yeah.
All solved.
So,
Yes. That was very satisfying, I
yeah,
thought.
Yeah, it's quite
they
sweet.
always are 4 for the Force generally.
Yeah,
It's great.
raced along,
Yeah.
literally, in the case of all
Interesting
horses.
moral stance of getting the villains aren't always the bad
Absolutely
guys.
right. Yeah, I like that. Also, interesting, listening to the voices, really, it stood out. What a good time they were all having.
Yeah.
With those accents and those
Yes.
character voices. It's
Although
quite
sadly,
fun.
Denise wasn't in that one,
Yeah.
unfortunately, which is always
Very nice.
always nice.
There we are. 4 Feather Falls. A bad name.
Bad name,
Yeah.
good episode.
It was. Excellent.
Right. Come on then. It's time for our marks out of 5.
Marks
for
out
that
of
episode.
5. Well, it's tricky because I find 4 Feather Falls is one of those shows where I know I like it, I know it's good, but I don't really have any favourite episodes as such to sort of have like a ranking.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm going to give that a solid 4.
Oh, solid 4.
Solid 4 out of 5. I think. Yeah.
I mean, I'd be happy with that. I might go 3.5, but I think 4. Yes, I'll go for 4.
Okay. Well, in context of where I've scored elsewhere, I'm going 3.5.
3.5.
But that's still good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 4 Feather Falls.
Yeah.
And it's really old.
Yeah.
And it's you have to watch it through that lens and all that sort of stuff. So taking that all into account, 3.5 is a pretty good
the
score.
pacing is really good. Some of the direction during the shootout is quite impressive.
Yeah. Those lovely atmospheric shots
Yeah.
of the town. It's great.
I make that 11.5 out of 15.
That's pretty
But then
good.
My
Pretty
maths
good.
is terrible, as we've discovered previously, but I
Oh,
think that's
yeah.
right.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah. So not quite as good as Crossroads to Crime.
Well, nothing beats Crossroads to Crime in your eyes. Yes.
Join us next week when we'll have another episode of the Randomiser.
Yes, not 4 Feather Falls,
no,
unfortunately.
Chosen by our guest again, Lindsay Harris, next week. We'll have some more Gerry Anderson news, I've no doubt.
Almost certainly.
And of course, we'll be hearing from our wonderful podsterons at podcast@gerryanderson.com.
That's the one.
See you then. Bye.
Bye.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get started. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
So, what have you missed, Jamie, about not being part of the podcast for a month?
Well, the randomiser, obviously.
Really?
Oh, obviously your
you missed UFO.
your wonderful company.
Yeah.
That's the most important
that's a
thing.
given, yes, of course.
The free coffee.
Yes.
You missed the cookies.
You did
I
miss
missed
the cookies.
but I have brought cake.
You have brought cake. What are we doing? Come on, then. I mean, don't be sitting here when there's cake on offer.
Okay.
Come on.
Cake it is.
That was an Anderson Entertainment production.